edition of the Michigan Football Breakdown, focused on the offense with gorgeous Al Borges. He is here. He is your counselor, your confidant,
Your key.
person who is going to soothe and ease your concerns. We know you have them, right?
I
Now,
do too.
a lot of you talk bad about Al Borges,
Who did?
about it's a lot of these same people. A lot of these same people, they're talking about you bad
Oh, they
about
wouldn't do that.
about 12, 13 years ago, Al Borges. Now
Yeah,
they
they
love
wouldn't do
you.
that.
Now they love you.
I
And they
can't
say,
believe it.
Al, tell me something good. Tell me something good. Tell me why, Al, why wasn't this passing game working? Is it because these coaches don't know what the hell they're doing? Or is it a different reason for why we saw what we saw? Now, it'd be easy if it's the former as opposed to the latter, Al. Can you
Mhm.
just tell them that these coaches don't know crap from that? It's on the ground. What? See. I was about to talk about Hugh Freeze. I was about to
Don't do
throw
it,
a Hugh
Sam.
Freeze
No,
reference, but I know you don't want me to bring
no.
Super Freak Hugh Freeze into the equation, so I won't talk about Super Freak Hugh Freeze. I won't talk about it. I won't talk about man when he's down.
Nope.
He's
No
gonna leave.
piling on, Sam.
He's gonna leave it on Michigan now, and we're gonna talk about what we saw against Purdue last week. We thought we were going to see a passing game take a step forward. It didn't do that. What we did see, though, was Michigan again when they needed to win the game, when they needed to close it out. They were able to hand the football off and say, Jordan Marshall, close it out, carry us home. They can't stop you. And that's exactly what he was able to do.
Yeah, they look, that kid's tough. God, he's a man. A warrior, I think is how some of them describe him. He made that one run. Where did he came out of that? I couldn't find him. And when I graded the thing and I looked at it from the end zone, you look at it from the back and he just kind of gets swallowed. And everybody's kind of blocking their guy. They're not missing him. They're kind of blocking. They're certainly not killing him. But all of a sudden, poof, like a genie out of a bottle, he pops out of there just on pure will, you know. But he's been doing that all year. I mean, he always falls forward. He's hard to knock down, and he's more explosive in terms of, as he proved, making long runs. He can do that. He gets enough carries. I mean, we were just thinking maybe he was the power back. No, he's a little more than that. Okay. But he is a reliable entity. And I said this before, Sam, he fits how they run the ball. With the one cut running on the stretch play, with the downhill running on the duos and the gap schemes, he fits so nicely into what they want to do. And he was a savior in this game in so many ways because the passing game wasn't what they wanted it to be. So, but the good thing, I said this before, is what's bad is when you can't throw the ball and you don't have any answers. You don't have any answers. You go, oh, God, what's our plan B? We can't run it either or whatever. I've been in that situation, where you're not very good running, not very good. Well, Michigan can shift gears when one facet of their game isn't going the way they want and have an answer. That's good coaching. I said that last week. That's good coaching. Say what you want. Yeah, I'd like to throw the ball better. We're going to talk about some of the reasons why it wasn't thrown better, but they did have an answer. Okay, so that's good. Let's start with that a little bit, Sam, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The problem in this game is I counted 5 throws, okay? And I'm going to talk about those throws, okay? That were missed that were going to be not just little pieces of yardage.
Yeah.
They were going to be big chunks of yardage, if not touchdowns. A couple of them were probably touchdowns. So the missed throws in this game were really painful because you didn't add it to your passing yardage and you didn't add it to your point total. Now, the first one, oh, goodness. Okay, the first one was what I call a switch vertical, where they were in kind of a 10 personnel, a full wide receiver look. The inside receivers come up the hashes. The outside receivers kind of wheel around them. And you get what is, in essence, kind of a 4 vertical look, okay? And they got the coverage for it, Sam. They got the coverage for it. I believe it was Browder. Is that his name, number 9?
Yeah. Jermaine Browder.
He broke down there. He broke up that seam. The protection was good, and Bryce just missed him. He just missed him. I looked at him. I said, well, did he look like he fell off the throw? Did he look like he didn't transfer through the throw? Did he look like he didn't get the fundamentals looked fairly solid. It was just a miss. And that happened a couple times where he's still learning how to stroke those throws, get those hips set and drive through those throws and make them. But that was going to be a big play now and maybe a touchdown because it was dialed at the perfect time, and that one hurt. And then
So what was your assessment of what happened on that? Just flat missed it?
Just flat missed it. I don't even know what to say. Usually when a guy throws an incompletion, I say, oh, look, he didn't drive it. He didn't transfer his way through it. His hips are offset the target. And they may have been slightly on that. Might have been slightly, but not where you can say, oh God, look at that. That's really bad. Sometimes that happens. You do the things right or what you think are right, and you just miss the throw for whatever reason because you don't have a feel for the timing yet. You don't have a feel for the trajectory. You're still learning how to make those throws and make them with consistency. So that was a one. And then the next play 6, was a scramble where he got out of the pocket, and this was going to be a big bite. And was it Zack Marshall, 83?
Yeah.
He was wide open. I mean, wide open, and he airmailed it. And
yeah.
Now, in those instances, sometimes it's a little harder. He couldn't really get his screws in the ground to make that one. But the one thing about Bryce that I don't think anybody would argue much, he's really good on the run. He doesn't miss a lot of throws on the run, but he missed that one. And that was going to be another huge bite.
So pause for a second on this, Al, because I don't want to lose this thought. I want to reference something that Denard said and get your thoughts on it. Because I thought the same thing that you just said. Bryce, some would say, is even better throwing on the run than from the pocket. So while he was flushed, by the time he's outside the pocket, he's clean.
Yeah.
There's no pressure. He's not under duress anymore, and he throws better on the run. But the point Denard made was, he said, yeah, but Sam, look at his feet in the pocket. He said, look at his drop. He said his drop is bad. He said, Sam, what is that? That's not a drop, Sam. He said, look, he said his rhythm is off in the drop. He said, so for me, the rhythm being off from the beginning throws the rhythm off the rest of the way. He said that's how it was for me. Now,
that's a good point. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Is initially what he's done a few times, and this is not a consistent, but it sneaks in there every so often where he won't take the full drop. He'll kind of scoot back rather than crossover, hitch, plant, hitch, go through the mechanic of the timing of the route. Okay. And sometimes it'll throw your timing off. It'll throw your rhythm off. It'll throw the whole thing off, and it could carry over to a flush, which that was a flush. When he flushed it, and this may be a residual of what we're talking about, but he looked like he rushed it a little bit. When you feel like people are nibbling at your back and you got a lot of traffic around you, is you tend to want to get rid of it real quick, and it screws up your throwing mechanic a little bit, and the ball will take off on you or dive on you, And I think that had something to do with it too. So those types of things are all factors. They're all factors. Here's the thing, Sam. When you're playing quarterback, you can't be a robot. You can't be a mechanical man, but you do have to have structure within your drop. You understand? Just make it smooth, make it sexy, make it so that your feet are close to the ground. You're brushing your feet against the ground, and it's like dancing. You know what I mean? So it's not all robotic, but it has to be. It's not willy-nilly. It's got to be structured to your drop, and there has to be methodology to your flush.
I guess I just when he said it, it never occurred to me that the rhythm of the drop not being there or not having rhythm in the drop could affect him once he got outside the pocket. It never occurred to me that the two could be intertwined.
Yeah.
But
it may or may not affect him, but it affected Denard. You know what I mean? He knows what that's like. So, there could be spillover into other facets of the play. You don't know. But as I'm saying is when you pass drop, when you drop back, it has to be a very fluid, and I use the term almost sensual movement. You know what I mean? Where your feet are close to the ground, you feel everything feels rhythmic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta say
So,
this about Al. I was at Al's wedding. Al has rhythm.
oh, I could stir it
I
up.
was I was surprised.
I could stir it
I
up, Sam. Who you kidding now?
I was
I
surprised.
can stir it up. I can.
Al
Man can
Borges
dance,
has
Sam.
rhythm.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Mhm. Oh, I'm
Like,
a sleeper.
Al
Yeah,
Borges.
no, I can.
Wow.
No,
All right, get back to it, Al.
yeah, I got it. You got to do it. Okay, so then we went to play 19. Here's another play 19, which was I think a play pass with a flood route. Okay, one receiver driving thin to the post, and I say thin to the post, taking the corner and then taking him inside as light as he possibly can. A receiver running intermediate route to the corner and somebody falling into the flat as a check down. Now, he saw it. And this is one thing that was encouraging in the game. He looked like he knew just where to look for the ball. A week ago, I wasn't sure, but this week, much better about understanding where the eyes go. Okay. He saw him go by him. And it wasn't a huge separation, but it was enough. It was enough. And on that throw, again, mechanically wasn't god awful, but he needs to know that on the deep balls, he's got to give the guy a chance. Okay. Get a little more air in it so there's more margin for error. Remember now, when you throw it up and the DB's in a chase, who gets the first look at the ball, Sam?
Receiver.
Receiver, right? So if the receiver gets the first look at the ball, generally he is the first to adjust to what might not be a perfect throw. He can't adjust to a ball thrown way too far inside that he can't touch. He can't adjust to a ball thrown over his head that he can't touch. But he can adjust to a ball that might be slightly short, okay, where he can either go high point it or outcompete the guy for the ball. Because the other guy has to find the ball with his back turned a lot of times, and the best he gets out of it's maybe a pass breakup. Okay, now you get a few phenomenal dudes that can turn and intercept the ball, but you got to throw that ball, but get it up there where he can touch it. You don't want to, I used to chew them out when they threw the ball out of bounds. That wasn't a ball that you throw out of bounds, but on the deep balls, always give that receiver an opportunity to get the ball, to touch the ball, because generally good things happen. If not a reception, a lot of times you'll get a panic. The DB will panic and pass interfere because he's out of position to make the play. So, but you're not going to ever get those if the ball is anywhere near the receiver. So get more air in those balls, tilt those shoulders, make that little three throw. We call that three throw. The three throw is when you throw it over and I heard Tom Brady using that terminology, the one throw and the two throw on one of the telecasts said, that's a one throw and that's a two throw. The three throw is the ball that you want to drop over the top behind the deepest defender, okay? The two throw is the one where you kind of throw it intermediate, like throwing it over the height of a crossbar. That's a two throw.
So what was the throw on the switch vertical? What throw do you use on that?
Well, he won through that. He drilled it, but he could. He could. That really wasn't dropped in. That was more of a drill it. Which sometimes I've seen guys drill verticals. Sometimes I've seen them two throw verticals if they got to dump them over the top of somebody. In that instance, the throwing lane was clean. So he just let it rip.
So I was asking you what throw should you use on that?
He was fine using the throw he made.
Okay.
He let it rip, and it was basically going to be if it was another foot inside, it's a completion, right? I mean, it was or should have been caught anyway. So I don't know that the trajectory was an issue on that. It was just the placement,
Yeah.
Then you went to play 22, which was a post wheel. Okay, the post wheel was supposed to go to Marlin. Okay, Marlin Klein.
Yeah.
And on that one, again, he didn't give him a chance to make the play. Now, he was under more duress on that one. There was a missed pickup, and the nickel came off the corner free, but he had good presence. He fronted out a little bit to extend the distances the blitzer had to go to get to him, and he let it go. He just let it go too far outside, and it just wasn't a catchable ball. It was not. But boy, that was another one, Sam. That was either a touchdown or a huge play, but it was a little bit dicier than the other two. And then he had a ball he threw to Samaj on a deep over. They call it an ice combination backside of a lot of their routes, where the slot will run a deep over or an over route, and the Z will run a deep break in or a dig type route. And On that one, I think he just backed out a little bit to see the throw a little better, drove it, and it was high and inside. It was, it was one of those, somebody's going to catch that ball. A lot of people think, oh, he's straight. That was not a good throw. But that was another throw. It wasn't going to be as big as the other ones I'm talking about. That was going to be a 15 to 20 yard gain, and if it's thrown accurately, who knows how much would they not catch. So the misses in this game, the moral of the whole story is the misses in this game left a lot of meat on the bone and probably some points.
Yeah, I don't. It's David Chapman says, why not acknowledge that Purdue is one of the worst teams in the league? I don't understand the point. What does that have to do with the point that Al is making about 5 misses?
Yeah,
that does not run counter to the point that Al is making.
Yeah, you can miss throws against
good teams or bad teams.
A poor team. I mean, that's just kind of what it is.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I no offense, but that's not saying anything to the contrary. Right. What Al is saying is that Michigan missed opportunities, that Michigan is at fault for what happened, that they didn't capitalize on the opportunities that were there,
right,
versus a good team or a bad team.
Right.
Doesn't matter the opponent. They
categorizing plays 2 ways, Sam. Under executed or over defended, right? A week ago we talked about Michigan State, remember? And said they actually covered us. I had 5 times where there was none of it. It's good defense. Say what you want. But in this instance, these opportunities were there and just didn't get done.
Yeah, I don't know if that maybe that just makes you feel. Maybe that makes you feel. I don't know if that makes you feel better or worse, right? Denard, he said, I guess he was trying to do a glass half full perspective. He said, look, he missed him. That's that's tough. You're looking for more positive steps in the passing game than we saw.
Mm-hmm.
What I will take positive from this is that his eyes were better this week. Said last week, we saw him missing bubbles. We saw him look the wrong way on the shot play. So his eyes weren't good last week. His eyes were better this week. So at least we made some progress in that regard. That's not everything. That's not where we need to be. But it's a step in the right direction. Now we need to take many more steps in the right direction in this passing game. But if you're coaching him and you want to show him some things that he did right, then I would start there as his coach.
Yeah. And again, you get tired of hearing me use this term, but I'm going to use it anyway. Don't throw the baby out with bathwater. Understand that yes, he missed some throws. We can fix that. There's ways to get around. But remember what he did contribute to the effort, okay? Because it was more than just that. He scrambled 4 times, okay? Plus 11 first down, plus 5 first down, plus 10 first down, and plus 12 first down. All scrambles equaled first downs, okay? He threw 3 naked passes. He completed 1 for a 20-yard gain, 1 for a 16-yard gain, and 1 for a 6-yard gain. All 3 for 3 on naked passes. He hit a flea flicker for a 37-yard chunk of yardage, and he threw 2 RPOs and hit them both. One for, let me see, what was it? One for, I believe, 10 yards and the other for 4. One was just a little one. But there were, point being is, everybody wants to point to the bad plays. And as a coach, generally, that's got to be my starting point. I got to say, we got to fix first. But don't forget what he did do, okay, and what he is contributing, because sometimes when a player doesn't beat you one way, he finds a way to beat you another one if he's a good player. Bad players can't beat you anyway, but he finds a way to get that stuff done. So there was more to his game than those missed throws.
Yeah, man. So the obvious question is, how how do you fix what is, I think people are looking for quicker fixes. I'm sure you'll say, well, there is not necessarily a quick fix.
There's no magic wand, Sam.
Yeah, there's no magic wand,
No
but
magic wand.
you got a bye week now,
Yeah.
which to me comes at an ideal time.
Mm-hmm.
What would a bye week look like? What would a bye week look like for you in terms of the work that you would put in to address the things that you see wrong effectively? If you had a list, what would you prioritize among the things that you see wrong now?
Take every ball that he missed, start there, and get him with the receivers that he missed him to, and some other receivers too, and practice the hell out of those plays. You can build in some pressure scenarios by having people attacking him with bags and stuff like that, so that he doesn't feel like all those throws are just completely unfettered, right? But fix those plays. Get McCulley out there, have him run that deep post that he did on the flood, and have Bryce throw him 10 balls. Or, have him run one, have another guy run one, have another guy, so you're not killing McCulley. But have him throw those until he feels like he's got it down, because it's all about confidence, right? It's all about confidence. Have him throw 10 seam routes on vertical switch, okay? Start with the guy he threw it to first, but have him make the drop and throw it until it's seamless. It's seamless after a while. You say, okay, this is your best chance. If you're missing throws and you're really not a fundamental mess, because fundamentals are a huge part too. You got to make sure the feet are set and all that stuff. It's reps that make it better. There is no magic juice, okay? Rep it, gain confidence in it, gain confidence in the guy that you're throwing to, and eventually it'll come around. So that's how you approach it, as far as I'm concerned. And I know, because I've seen this before, where you're struggling. The kid all of a sudden is struggling to make throws. Or a couple of weeks ago, he's throwing the ball really good, And sometimes that happens when the kid gets beat up, but I don't think he's that beat up. That can happen sometimes. Guys start throwing off platform too much and all that, but I think it's just reps. Keep repping it, keep coaching it, gain confidence. And bye week is what better situation, better scenario than have a bye week to work on it.
This is an interesting point. Jeff Charmita 3030 said other teams develop their QB much faster. It shouldn't take 3 years just because he's young. What other team developed their QB much faster?
No.
What other team developed their QB much faster? What QB are you talking about?
Yeah, they could be talking about the Maryland kid or all that, but they're not winning. They're not doing. What I mean? Everybody, first of all, understand this. Every kid develops at a different pace. I don't care who coaches them. They could be the greatest quarterback coach in the world.
I mean,
everybody develops at a different pace. Okay.
What kid are we talking about?
Are we talking
about Julian Sayin, who's in his second year? Oh no, this is not Julian Sayin's second year. This is not even the second year. Are we talking about Dante Moore, who started out at UCLA, and I've sat at Oregon, and is now starting at Oregon in his third year in college? Who are we talking about?
No, I don't know. I don't care. I don't really care about those guys at the end of the day. General comparisons are a little irrelevant because every player is different. Okay. Every player develops different. Every player learns different. Every player understands quicker than some players understand quicker than other players. Some guys throw the hell out of the ball and don't win, but they get good at throwing faster because they throw the hell out of the ball. So, this is a different scenario with a different player that will develop in time because he's very talented. But as we've said, and we'll say again until people realize what we're saying, and may never, that it's going to take some time.
Sayin's 2 years older than Underwood. Are we talking about Trevor Lawrence, who we've talked about before? Trevor Lawrence started 4 games into his college career. He wasn't the starter as a true freshman. His first game, he started 4 games into his college career on a playoff team. He backed up Kelly Bryant for his first 4 games and got his feet wet as the backup, and then stepped in on a loaded team. absolutely loaded squad where he wasn't expected to be the guy. He didn't have to be the guy every single week. Where, hey, you know what? You got to be, playmaker. Yeah, this is a team where you're throwing it up to first round draft picks out there. You're throwing it up to pros, established guys. I mean, so who are we talking about? Who are we talking about that develop quicker? You got to point them out to me. And what Maryland? What's Maryland's record? What's Maryland's record?
No, I promise you, they're suffering through some growing pains with him too. That's just part of the equation. That's just the way it goes. I've had to play in my career freshman quarterbacks sparingly, but the one that stands out to me the most is when I was at Boise. I got frustrated my first year at Boise because we weren't very good, and I said, "The hell with it. We're just going to play the freshman. He doesn't really know what he's doing, but we aren't very good, and we'll at least get him some experience." So he came in and played, and he got pounded, and we won 3 games my first year. That experience with a bad team. Now, Michigan doesn't have a bad team, okay? That experience won us 13 games the next year because he had suffered through a lot of the pains that he just didn't suffer through the second year. So it's a natural growth process. It's a very, very difficult position to play. It is. And the higher level you go, the more difficult it gets because the athletes are so much better. The coverage is so much better. The protection, the pass rush is so much harder. Everything's sped up and more athletic. And it's just not like high school. So you got to learn how to function in that environment. And he's done, I think, a pretty good job. But right now he's in a little bit of a passing slump. But I think in time, you'll be fine.
So, Al Borges, it is going to be an interesting sort of equation coming off the bye to see how they move in this game. Because one of the notes in this game that stuck out to me was the shift. They had been calling like 16, 17, 18 RPOs a game. Now that was like his comfort zone. That was like his go-to play. And there was a startling shift in this contest. 7 RPOs in this game. That's a steep decline. Now, I'm not going to ask you to speculate as to why, but it is a noteworthy shift. The downturn in the number of RPOs they call in this game, because this is not a, it's not like you go from calling 16 or 17 of them based on one subpar game where he was misreading them and say, oh, he can't run that play anymore. It can't be that, so y'all be interested to see, what the mix is coming off the bye. That's going to be one of the things that I look for.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, for some reason there wasn't as many, and I think they like some of the runs that they were seeing as a game. I think this is a battlefield deal more than anything, more than it was preconceived. Okay, they like some of the runs into the fronts that they were seeing. They ran, goodness gracious, they ran 9 duos, 12 duos if you count the jab duos, the counter duos. They ran 5 counter plays. So that's, those are all gap type schemes, and they like that against that 3-4 front. So I think that had something to do with it. They ran 9 stretch plays. There were a lot of, and the thing about their best stretch plays were in pistol, downhill, non-RPO type. Okay, the long run was a tight sides stretch play, and beautifully blocked that Marshall took off on. But it had something to do with the fact that they liked their runs against the fronts they were seeing and just simply weren't tagging as many RPOs as they had in the past. But I'm sure that's going to make a comeback. You're going to see that again you won't see 7 RPOs because the RPOs have been pretty good.
Yeah. Well, people have been asking. So there are a couple of things. We obviously did not see progress in terms of production in the passing game, but in terms of seeing different receivers, so Jamar Browder specifically, saw him, and people have been asking for receivers to be schemed open. Saw Jamar Browder, and we saw receivers being schemed wide open in this game. I mean, they were schemed wide open in this game. Like, if that's what you were looking for, you got that big time in this contest. So, unfortunately, you just didn't realize the result.
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah. And I don't think you can undersell the fact that for the first time, Sam, in a while, turnovers made a difference. We hadn't turned the ball up yet over much, right? Well, we had an interception down inside the 20-yard line that cost us points out with a really promising drive. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 play drive ended an interception, and that was painful. 3rd and 6, and the fumble through the end zone on the bluff play was very painful because that would have put us down. If not a score, it would have put us down on the 1 or 2 yard line and been pretty productive in that situation. So the turnovers cost points too, and I hopefully that will not be that's an aberration because they just haven't been a big turnover team, and I don't think they're going to be. But that did play a part in this game, a big part in this game.
Yes. All right, Al. I'm going to want to get to the questions from the people. If you have questions for Al, put them in the chat. If you have questions for Al, put them in the chat, and we will start knocking them down, starting with you super chatters. I see some super chatters have already started lining them up. Super chatters go to the top, but we will start knocking down your questions for Al after he gives his grades. So, Al, lay down your grades, and then we'll start knocking down the questions. So
I thought the O-line, particularly on the run, was a B+, maybe an A-. I mean, they were very good in this game. Got all the plays started, very few mistakes. But the passing game more of a C+. That wasn't as good. There were 9 pressures I counted in the game, so there were some problems there. But I thought the offensive line, I graded them better than I've graded them, I think, in any game. But they were pretty good. Wide receivers about a C-, not really as productive as you'd like, and we've talked about why already, but that's part of it. The quarterback was a C-. You still have to give him credit for the things he did, as I said, the scrambles and all that. So he wasn't a complete bust, but he'd be the first one to tell you he'd like to throw the ball better, I'm sure. The B+ to A- for the running backs, Holy Toledo. And Marshall by himself is an A. I mean, he was just a beast. I mean, he was unbelievable, a beast. And the tight ends were a B. They did a nice job. They got involved again in the passing game some and had some opportunities that didn't come to fruition. But played, I thought, pretty solid for the most part. But had we just hit a few more plays, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I know you say that every week. I mean, but we want to say it less. You know what I mean? We want to say it less. So, again, we're going to win big. We're going to beat good teams with balance. And if we lose that balance, it's going to be harder and harder to beat these good teams coming up. So, all told, it wasn't all we wanted it to be, but boy, there sure were some good stuff in the game. I mean, really good stuff in the game when you think about Marshall and even Bryce's scrambling ability and those types of things were neat. So that's how I see it.
Yes, sir. If you have questions for Al, put them in the chat. We will start knocking them down. And again, we will start with the super chatters. And we will go to you guys first. And so let's do that now. All right, let me go ahead and get over to them. And DJ Sin City was first. How do we get him to trust talking about Bryce, how do we get him to trust his arm and trust his lower body mechanics? Also did some digging. 5 and 7 p.m. starts, 66 of 118, 3 TDs, and 8 sacks. The rest, 55 of 80, 4 TDs, and 1 sack, is the late schedule causing his issues. Al Borges. He's a stat guy like you.
Yeah, so am I. But I know. I don't think so. I don't think that's it. It might be. I mean, you can't ignore stuff like that. I always kind of poo-poo it sometimes, but you can't. Some guys play better early. I can't. But I go back to the things I can control. I can't control when the game started. You know what I mean? The game's set for a time, and that's when you play the game, and you got to get them to play regardless of when that time is. So I go more to the nuts and bolts of the mechanics of the position and all those types of things if I want to remedy this thing, but I'm not going to draw some conclusion based on whether it's played tonight or not. That's just not me, and I certainly wouldn't even bring that up to him. That would probably spoof him if you said something like that, where you could become a self-fulfilling prophecy every time to play bad every time you play past 7 o'clock. So I wouldn't make too much of that one.
All right. On to the next one. Another super chatter. Jester's Jinx. I'm back. Gorgeous. We're always 1 week from this team going to the next level. Why? How can we get the running and passing to sync with our incredible defense?
Yeah, like I said, reps, more reps. Keep doing it. Game-specific errors being corrected. Focusing on the fundamentals of not just quarterback, but every position. And like I said, the timing with the buy and such is it's good. It's good. It's good to be doing this now so you can fix some of the problems that you have. Plus, you can maybe heal up a little bit with some guys that have been on the shelf. So everybody wants a magic juice, a potion that's going to cure this problem. And very, very seldom does that happen. It usually is you have some success and a light goes off. You said, God, no, well, if I do it like this with consistency, I'm going to get good results, But the only way to get there is to do it so much that it becomes seamless, okay? And you can do it under pressure. So I think that's the magic potion. It's not as glamorous as everybody wants, but that's what it is. Repetition, coaching hard, seeing to it that you're getting what you want on a consistent basis, and building the kid's confidence with your play calling or whatever to help him get over the hump.
All right. Weeby Cove says, I wanted to ask about coaching bums, but such questions are beneath the key. Well, I mean, hey, here's the thing. One of the biggest coaching bums in existence is no longer around.
You can't kick him anymore, Sam. You can't kick him anymore.
I'm sad to say the super freak has taken his freakiness. He is taking it behind closed doors. We can no longer see the freak on the sidelines. I mean, his wife is like, damn. Now his freakiness is, now he got to stay his freaky ass at home with me. I mean, she is all sad. She's damn.
Oh, Sam. When he's at home, he's counting his money. When you're at home, you're working. Okay.
That is true. But he's spending it all on 1-800 to come get freaky with me. I feel sorry for Mrs. Freeze. She didn't have to deal with all of that for some time. And now he got all that time to be freaky with Miss Freeze and whoever else she want to bring home with her and him and whoever else he want to call home with Miss Freeze and Mr. Freeze. But like I said, the RPOs down there at Auburn, they get a chance to see another play. They had 3 plays in the playbook. They had RPO left, RPO right, and then they had like one other pass play other than the RPO, Al. That's the playbook at Auburn. I'm not exaggerating. I think Al Borges knows this to be true. Now, the question for Michigan is, can they get Shadarius Tootle to consider leaving the South? Now, what Auburn did was they went and got all the Tootles to commit to Auburn. That's how they got him to flip to Georgia, was they got all the Tootle brothers to come. Now, can Michigan get Shadarius to kind of look? I don't know. See, they might go to Auburn no matter what, even though they don't have a coach because they're taking all the toodles. That's the interest that Michigan has in the Auburn case right now is recruiting. So, we'll be keeping our eye on it moving forward, Al. So there is an Auburn sort of interest going on in what happened with Hugh Freeze.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
got to figure.
it's not
Get
totally
the
about
bones a little bit, Sam. Yeah, that's right.
not totally about coaching bums. Now,
Yeah.
he did have a separate question that had to do with the World Series.
Oh yeah.
That Al was watching,
Oh yeah.
hoping that like the Blue Jays would come back and drop a bomb on the Dodgers. It didn't quite happen for you though, Al.
Oh Sam, it was gut wrenching. It was gut wrenching. And I'm not a Blue Jays fan. I'm a Giants fan. Okay, which makes me a Dodger hater. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. So what and you ask how do I do it? Well, that's in today's day and age. You got what you call a recorder where you can record, or with me, I'm just channel surfing all the time. Every time there's a commercial, I'm back over. Then when it's over, I watch the game. But I saw the most crucial parts of that baseball game. And as much as I do not like the Los Angeles Dodgers, they are very, very good. Okay. Dave Roberts subs out Tommy Edmonds center field the inning before and puts in Paez, who makes that great catch because he's fast. He's a better outfielder. He's got a lot of range. That was the game, Sam. Him subbing out Edmonds won them that game. I believe that with all my, because the Blue Jays played as hard and as well as I think they possibly could. The difference is the Blue Jays, when it got in the late innings, they had to put in their struggling closer, and the Dodgers put in Blake Snell and Yamamoto. Okay. They had more guns in the bullpen than the Blue Jays did. But even with that, they came that catch away from losing the World Series. So hats off to Toronto Blue Jays. I guess I got to take my hat off to the Dodgers. They made some great plays other than that. But I'm not happy, but it is what it is.
I mean, if you let me have a Lamborghini, a Porsche, a Ferrari,
you're going to look like a genius, Sam, and it's hard to make you look like a genius.
I mean, you give me everything.
Everything.
I lose race, Al? I mean, damn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't blame the Dodgers. They just work within the rules, but I blame the rules. But that's just, that's baseball. They're not going to change because they want those LA teams and big market teams to be good. So,
all right, another super chat. Quinn Go Blue, appreciate the super chat. Al, why doesn't Michigan call more? What is it? More RA plays?
You got to help me with that one.
You got to help me with that one too. More RA plays. I'm trying to catch what that references with their run game being so strong. What does RA? Somebody help me out.
Yeah.
What is he referencing with RA? Yeah, Anyone?
How about Quinn? Quinn, tell us.
Does he mean play action?
That's what I was thinking.
Does he mean run action? Is that what he's trying to say?
I don't know. But if it is play action, I will say this: they did call a couple, and again, we mentioned the flood route that was probably a touchdown. So they've been using some play passes, okay, in every game. So that has not that has been available in the repertoire.
Yeah, that was a shot in the end zone. Al, and that was the one where you said he needed to put just to give him a chance in the end zone.
Yeah, give him an air in it. Give him a little, make it a jump ball if nothing else. He's gonna, you good results when they touch it. Good results. Usually better results for the offense than the defense. One of these days, I'm going to do a study on
that. Mission Forward 3, another super chatter. Appreciate it. Do you think Bryce is giving up on the pocket too soon rather than staying in the fight? Look at you. And Devin, stay in the fight.
That's a stud question right there now. I think there's been time that's come up. But the one thing, here's what I went back and looked at. And I did that I watched this film. I'm tired of it. I don't want to see it anymore. I'm going to throw it out. But this morning, I wanted to see one more thing. So I went not through the whole game, but through just the pass plays, okay? Because my knee jerk was that he was throwing too many balls off platform when it wasn't necessary, even though he's a very good off platform thrower. But as I went back through it, he really didn't throw that many balls off platform. And the next thing is was he taken off too quick unnecessarily? Yeah, you can make a case for that a time or two. The one time where I replayed it, I don't know how many times for it. It's when he took off on one run and put the ball down like on the 2 or 3 yard line. Remember that one, Sam? And it was what I call a Denard Robinson play. But the way I coached Denard Robinson is I used to coach him push, but if you see it, take it. Don't go to the third read. Don't go to the third read because I'd rather have you with the ball under your arm facing the defense than a check down where the guy might have his back to the defense. But I thought he did a good job in that play. He saw a hole, he stepped up, he got in a fight, and he took it. And he gained, I think, 12 yards, 10 or 12 yards, and put him down there. They ran a wedge the next play, and they scored. So you could make a case on that one that he could have hung in there longer. But with his skill set, I think he's got to take advantage of that. So, yes, there are a time or two when he could probably hang in there a little longer. But I don't think that he's a constant repeat offender on that.
Yeah, there were a couple plays in there that stand out that go into his thought process, and I went over this with Denard. So there was the throw to Marshall that we discussed already. So he missed the switch vertical. The next play was he's flushed from the pocket and he sort of gets outside and then he it's third down and he airmails the one to Marshall. And Denard said, you got to run for the first down right there. Now, listen, I'm like you, Al. This is what Bryce does. Mm-hmm. I mean, Bryce Underwood throws. He is an excellent passer on the move, right? Mm-hmm. This is like his deal. Everyone who has watched him play knows that he dots it. I mean, he puts it on the money. Some people believe he throws it even better on the move than from the pocket. So that being the case, you understand his thinking that if I'm on the move, man, and I'm not under duress, I'm going to throw this pass even though I can run for this first down. Now, Denard said, as a young player, Rich Rodriguez said, listen, third down, I don't care if the dude is standing with no one within 20 yards of him. If you can run for the first down, run for the first down on third down. Because we get a fresh set of downs. So his point.
I think that's good thinking. I don't like turning down touchdowns, but if for the most part, like at that play, I think he could have run for the first down. And when as soon as you throw to even an open receiver, you create the element of human error, right? You make a bad throw, he drops the ball or whatever. So if you've got that skill set that allows you to run for a first down, run for a first down. I didn't like doing that though. If it's an early down, you set the, and all of a sudden somebody breaks free, and you can't turn it. You only get to score so many touchdowns in the game. Take advantage of that because there's more snaps after that to give you an opportunity to, if you miss the throw, to keep the drive going.
Yeah. And hey, I'm not one to argue with a guy who's been there, right? And his point was, he became more discerning as an older player. He said, as I became a veteran, I was able to decide. I was able to make that choice. Like if I, knew I could make that throw, then I made that throw. But as a young guy, hey, I'm running for that first down every time on third down. Now, Bryce, look, I get it. I understand where he was. Now, you move on, Al. You remember he threw that interception. Like, so he's running and he sees the opportunity to throw another pass and he throws a pick. So I think his decision making after that, when he was on the move, it was like, or when he had an opportunity to run, I think that colored everything after that point. He's like, hey, if I can run, I'm pulling it down. I'm not hesitating. I'm running. After he had those two experiences, he airmailed it one time throwing when he could have run for a first down. The second time he was running around, he could have run again for a first down and he threw an interception. Damn it, I'm running the ball. I think that's what he was thinking every time after that.
Yeah, and you don't really want to think that. You want to call a pass, throw a pass, and then improv if the pass is in there. That's what you want. So be aggressive about throwing the pass to start with. That's why the pass was called. But things, again, battlefield decisions, things within the pass play may not allow you to throw the ball with the structure that you want to. The better the athlete, the more you encourage them to make those improv throws, whether it means or improv runs or throws, whatever. So that's how you play the game. That's being a football player, okay? But you'll never have a passing game ever if you drop back thinking, "Oh, if anything looks remotely bad, I'm taking off." You'll never have a passing game. You will have these same conversations every week. So it has to be by happenstance, okay, more than preconceived thinking.
I hear you, coach. But young player, right?
There you
You
go.
know,
Keeps
and
coming back to that thing nobody wants to hear. They don't want to hear that. They just want results. But Sam, NIL has no influence on your learning curve. Just understand that. You can scream, "Oh, he's making it up." That doesn't have a damn thing to do with how fast he's going to learn. It has nothing to do with it. So he should be more motivated. No, he's not more. That's why a lot of NFL quarterbacks have a clipboard in their hand the first couple of years they play.
Well, you know what? He's a tough-minded dude, man. He's a
Yes.
tough-minded dude. I don't think that makes him immune from kind of having his, he's a human being. You can see him kind of press a little bit. So Superman ran into some kryptonite, kind of maybe had his, confidence shaking a little bit, but I think he'll snap back. But I think that I think that this is one of those things where he probably is dealing with this level of struggle for the first time since he's become him, so to speak, right? Since he's become that dude. I don't think he's had to deal with anything on this level. And once he comes through it, I think he'll be better for it.
I think so
And
too.
they'll be better
Yep.
for it.
Yep.
All right. Next question, Al Borges. Comes from, let's see, Al. I think you just answered that one. David Chapman begs the question, Al, who's teaching Bryce the fundamentals?
It's Chip Lindsey. Yeah. Chip Lindsey. And Chip has some helpers on that too, and they coach the hell out of it. But there's a big difference. Understand something. It's coaching the hell out of it in practice when the quarterback's not going to be touched is a lot easier than coaching the hell out of it under game conditions where he is, because a lot of things change. And not because quarterbacks are coward, but it's because he has not felt that pressure, that kind of pressure in practice. And unless you hit him, he's never going to feel that kind of pressure. So, and you're not going to do that. So there's going to be some game-specific stuff that comes up no matter how hard you coach him.
All right. Oh, he was talking about run action, pulling linemen to sell it better than regular play action. Just QB and running back faking.
Yeah, that's what basically nakeds are, right? Is they're the linemen are selling stretch plays. Something I haven't seen that goes hand in hand with what he's talking about, I think, is a trap pass. They've done a lot of trap passing in the past and didn't, but I have not seen that for whatever reason in the last couple of weeks. But I'm sure you will again.
How much is needed for more film studies? So the networks wanted tens of thousands of dollars just for us to use the footage during the season, just for the regular season footage. And then we were going to have to pay tens of thousands of dollars for the Big Ten championship. And then tens of thousands of dollars for the playoff. So tens of thousands of dollars for the regular season. And then after that was over, tens of thousands of dollars for the Big Ten championship. And then after that was over, tens of thousands of dollars for the playoff. And you could only use it, and then we would have to keep it for like, we would have to limit the number of minutes. So, for instance, like when we had plays, if we paused the play, that counted. So we had a play on the screen, and we paused it to show you something. Every second we had that play paused on the screen, that counted as time that we were using the play.
Yeah, they were making it so hard. They're just making it so hard.
It's like, are you kidding me? So we couldn't say, hey, we want to use 30 seconds of your footage. No. If we took 30 seconds of your footage and used that 30 seconds of footage for 2 minutes on the screen, that counted for 2 minutes. It's like, this is a joke. So, I mean, it limited how many plays we could use. Like, we like to talk about like 10 plays.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so how can we talk about as many plays as we want to talk about?
no,
So,
and you can't. The problem is we want to detail them. We don't want to just talk about them and put etch a sketches on there, right? We want to detail them so that the fans appreciate what's going on. Okay, we spend an incredible amount of time with some finite details that I used when I coach guys. Okay, and that takes time. You throw it down there, you're just going to get bad.
so they make it so hard to do it to where it's, if it had a sponsor, if it has a sponsor, then I can make it worth Al and Vance's time to do, because it's very labor intensive. It takes a lot of time. We spend a lot of hours to do it. So if it has a sponsor, great. Or if we, with a Kickstarter, maybe, but it literally tens of thousands of dollars. And, the people who love it. But, it's like you diehards who really love the X's and O's of it. But most fans really don't. Most people are just cursory glance. They are hot take folks. They react to what they see, and they don't really dig in and really want to understand the why. They just want a quick. They want knee jerk. They don't, really get into the nuts and bolts of the why of football. So if there were more people who really wanted to know the why, then the film studies would have, they would have the backing that they need to be like, all right, we'll do this every week, every game, not just a one-off. So, maybe we can get something going for O State. We'll see. But that's the long and short of it. They're a network for a reason. They're a big money conglomerate, big power for a reason, right? There you go. That explains it. All right, on to the next one. Ask Seth what they're doing to him right now over on MGO Blog. They're giving him the blues. What is the next one? Let's see. And he's not even doing a film study. The next one comes from do you think quick slants, digs, and zigs would help Bryce? That comes from Harvey Norwood.
I don't know what a zig is, but I think quick slants would be great. I love slants. I do. And they threw one in the game. They threw a slant out there to, I think, Browder. And the guy knocked it out, Sam, right? Wasn't that the one? It was a third down play.
Yeah.
So they have that in their toolbox. And I think one of the things that I think Denard pointed out, and I thought was really, really a valuable piece, was maybe build in a few more quick rhythm throws, snag routes, slants, sticks. They have those. They're there. They're in their offense. He'll throw almost. I think he threw one in the game, but maybe build in a few quick rhythm throw where the ball's out. Protection doesn't have to be perfect, and all that. Again, it's got to be peace. Thinking you're going to do that all the way down the field is not very practical, but I think it might help get his confidence back a little bit.
Mm-hmm. TD Foster says, feel like Bryce hit the freshman wall a little bit. The bye week should allow him to recalibrate. How do you feel about that, Al?
I think that's there's maybe something to that. He had a really good game a couple weeks ago. Remember, Sam? And I thought he started to feel his oats. I thought maybe the passing game was going to take off a little bit. It didn't for whatever reason, but maybe he has hit the wall a little. I don't know.
Gorgeous. You got a fan
there. Somebody's got good vision.
Mission 4 said, how do you coach up a short memory? Thanks for the super chat. Coach up a short memory.
Oh, boy, that's challenging. That's a good one. How do you coach up a short memory? Yeah, that's why you hear coaches take hits because they use the same terms all the time. We steal words from each other all the time. One play at a time. One play at a time. You always hear that all the time, right? One play at a time. We got to take this one play at a time. Flush it. Don't worry. You're always using these buzzwords that you've been trained to use since you started coaching just to brainwash the kid into not letting the last play affect the next play. You can talk and talk. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Some guys just internalize it so much they can't get over it. But most kids, if you just keep pounding your point, they come around. They get what you're saying. I used to tell myself in golf. I used to play golf, and I thought I was going to be Arnold Palmer, or Jack Nicklaus. I'm not good enough. So I'd hit some bad shots, and I'd get so mad. Oh God, I just couldn't handle it. Until finally somebody was telling me, you're so miserable to play with, I don't want to play with you anymore. So I said, okay, from now on, when I golf, I get one cuss word after a bad shot. And then when I get to the next tee, I got to shut up. Well, that's kind of how you got to think when you're playing quarterback. You get one good cuss word, and then get back to business.
You know what? This might be something that we check into. What about a private Zoom event? We each pay $10 to get in with this footage. There might be something that we could do with members, maybe. If we could do like a members event, we'll see. We'll check into some things. We research options on an annual basis of things that we can do to kind of up the ante to improve what we do, right? So
always looking. I love doing it. I just want you to know it ain't me. I love doing it. It is what it is, but I love doing it. It is time intensive. I think Sam's right, but people that really want to know are the fans that I admire the most. I cut them more slack if they complain because they're interested,
Yeah. Yep. Al has a fan club. I said, Al has got groupies? Get the hell out of here.
Chicks naturally dig me, Sam. You know that.
I couldn't believe it. It's like, oh my God, Al's got groupies. All right. To the next one. Let's see. On to the next Al question. It comes from Smash the Numbers. I'm kind of worried about the game versus Northwestern in Wrigley Field. That place is strange for football. It will be a bit of a circus. Hopefully, it is mostly a home crowd. I bet it will be, Al.
Yeah, it was when we played. We didn't play in Wrigley, but we played in Evanston. Is that the town? Mm-hmm. We played there a couple times, and goodness gracious, you look up and there's more Michigan fans than there were Northwestern fans. That being said, they always gave us a hell of a game, and I'm sure they will this time around because they're a little better than you want them to be, Sam. They're a little better team than you want them to be. So it'll be challenging, but again, do the things you do and you can beat them.
I agree. Someone said it was T. Higgins on that Clemson team that Trevor Lawrence was quarterback on. Yes, he was. They were loaded. They were loaded. Hunter Renfrow was on that team. Travis Etienne was on that team. They were loaded. And like I said, he didn't even get in as starter till game 4. It's like it's a much different circumstance for Trevor Lawrence on that squad, man. It's not. That's why I kept telling people it's not an apple for apple comparison with Bryce Underwood at all. Not even in the same ballpark. All right. statement from Mission Forward 3. Someone else said, development isn't linear. That's 100% true. There's got to come an aha moment where some things become clear to Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
Think about
He's
that.
right. He's right. He's right. You're not sure when it's going to happen, but I'm telling you, Sam, we're all victims or beneficiaries of our own experience, and I've just seen it so many times. I had, I'm going to give you one that you'll find interesting. When I was at UCLA, I had Cade McNown, who was eventually a Heisman Trophy finalist. But the first year I had him, he was last in the Pac-10 in passing efficiency, dead last. And we went to work on him and just fed him and programmed him and everything. In 1 year, he became #1 in the country in passing efficiency. From his sophomore till his junior year, he made that quantum a leap. Okay. Why? Because that light bulb went off. He said, okay, I've seen the scenarios. I've screwed a lot of them up, but I want to get better, and I'm going to work at this until I do. And some of the things that I was coaching his sophomore year, I just wasn't coaching his junior year. Didn't have to. I'd confirm him, but I didn't have to coach him anymore because that light bulb went off. It's going to go off with Underwood. It's going to. When? I don't coach him, so I don't really know. But he has a lot more ability than Cade McNown ever had, okay? And I just think before it's all said and done, you're going to see a hell of a product because he is a very ambitious player with regard to learning. So you got a good thing to coach.
All right. Let's go to the next one. And the next question comes from, let's see, Marty Cornwell. Why does Michigan struggle every year in the pass game and Indiana turns it around in 1 year? Well,
two experienced quarterbacks. Mendoza was a hell of a player at Cal. Okay, let's start with that.
Yeah,
the year before, I think, wasn't he a JMU guy?
Yeah, man. You have Mendoza started for 2 years at Cal.
Yeah.
Let's just start there. Curtis Rourke was a 6th year guy. He played for 5 years at Ohio and then a 6th year at Indiana. I mean, dude, you had 2 veteran quarterbacks. What? I don't. These are not accurate comparisons.
Yeah. If you took that same situation and put a freshman in Indiana, I promise you they would not be 8-0. Okay, they wouldn't. They'd probably be pretty good because they look like they got pretty good company. But the quarterback he's going to be too many pains. There's too many things are going to go wrong that you are anticipating to go right.
Yeah. There's just a difference when you go with a freshman. Just the difference.
What did Bo say, Sam? What did Bo say? Bo said that I don't know if this is true anymore, but at least he thought that every freshman in the lineup was a loss. That's what he said. And I think make sure I got that right, but I think that's what he said. I think Bradison told, not Bradison. Jim Brandstad told me that.
So, this question, Al, in your opinion, does Michigan need a better quarterback coach to maximize Underwood's talent? Which means, is there something they could be doing now that would be getting more out of Bryce Underwood than they are doing? Is there something more that could be being done to squeeze more production out of him than they're doing?
No, Chip Lindsey's a seasoned football coach. Chip Lindsey coached Drake May, and Drake May will tell you that Chip Lindsey was the biggest contributing factor to him understanding how to coach in the NFL, play in the NFL. That's not the issue. Again, there's just there's pains the kid's got to go through in some game-specific situations. But no, I don't think they need a new coach.
Al, this is from Mark Messer, 9747. Al, do QB sometimes miss throws when a receiver is wide open because their eyes get so big and they rush or freeze up?
Yeah, sometimes. I call them saucer eyes. Sometimes it's, oh God, it looks so good. And they end up, as I said earlier, they kind of rush the throw. You know what I mean? They'll rush it a little bit. It looks so good, and then all of a sudden there's no rhythm to the throw, and it's thrown errant. But that can certainly be part of it. That's why I say just stroke the throw. stroke the throw, which means use all the same fundamentals you would use if you were throwing routes on air. Okay.
All right. Next one. Al from Lance 1985. If the O-line is allowing pressures, would that help Bryce in practice to experience some pressures while in game? Not sure if they practice in-game pressure.
No, they don't hit the quarterback, and he's not going to do that. Nobody does that anymore. I used to have, like in spring football, we do a little bit of it, have the quarterback get hit so he experienced that, but you just can't. It's just too risky, So and he's the only guy, remember, on the whole team that doesn't get hit, right? So he's the one guy that's playing probably the most important position on the team, and he doesn't experience that contact until he's in the game. And then when he's in the game, that's why I say what I say. There's so many things he's got to learn that are game specific, because that type of pressure cannot be. It's just not the same in practice. It just isn't, and it never will be. And it's one of the fallacies of playing the position. Is you got to learn. There's some on-the-job training when he gets into the game that it just isn't like practice.
All right. Next question comes from Tino Dadan. It says, Al, what are some rhythm throws that if a QB is just having a bad day, can we go to? He's young, so missed throws affects confidence, I feel. Get the confidence back with some easy throws.
Great. Another good question. Another really good question. I heard a few years back now, Steve Young was playing in a game, okay? And, Steve was a Hall of Fame quarterback, great player. But he was having one of those days, okay, where he just couldn't get it. He's missing throws. He's getting frustrated and everything. And Steve came back, coach goes, call stick routes. Just change the formation and call another stick route. It'll get me back in rhythm. And the stick is a little tight in out break with a guy in a flat. Michigan has it, and they run it quite a bit. But it was the one thing he felt got him back into rhythm. You know what I mean? It came out fast. He wasn't going to get sacked. He knew that he was throwing it to Brent Jones, who was going to catch it, and it was just a short little ball. So there's something to what you're saying and as we mentioned this earlier in the program, is a little package of plays that are quick rhythm, West Coast offense type plays, snag routes, the sit looky we always talk about, Sam, slants, drag slants, or flat slants, or whatever you want to call them. Those type of plays can get you back in rhythm. And they're always a good idea sometimes to put them in the openers where the kid, I call them confidence builders, where you throw a few completions and he starts thinking he can complete everything, whether it's short or down the field. So I think that's all good stuff.
Okay, on to the next question for Gorgeous Borges. This one comes from, I guess it's like Video Gamer. Coach Borges, why not buy some earplugs when Two Straps talks about the coaching bums of the week?
If I wasn't being rude to the audience, I'd leave the room.
Al, I just tell the truth about the bums. If there weren't coaching bums, then all these coaches would stay employed. Really that simple. It's got to be.
If they weren't coaching bums, you'd have nothing to talk about.
That's kind of true. I'd have less to talk about. Let's put it that way. Smash the Numbers wants to know, hey, did Bryce do a better job of turning in protection this week? I don't know about better job.
I don't think it came up. Protection. I don't think it came up. I looking at the drop back game. He threw 14 drop back passes, just FYI. We didn't mention that. He threw 14. They called 14 drop back passes. I think he only had 11 of them that actually were thrown. And I don't remember a time where an overload where they had a free defender coming, it came up in the game like it did a week ago. Okay. So it wasn't in this game anyway. There were pressures, but it wasn't because of overloaded defenses there was a missed pickup one time, but again, it didn't really require a return of the protection or change in the protection. So,
All right. Still have time for some more for Coach Borges. Let's get to this one. I agree with this. J Dubs says some of the straight play action dropbacks were not fooling much of anyone. Al, this has been a topic I've been asking you about. I didn't even talk about it with Denard this week because I sound like a broken record. But I say, hey man, he came around on one of his best play of the game. He came around on the naked and the dude was in his face and he ducked up under him.
oh, that was a play. We didn't mention that one.
Yeah. We didn't. It was a hell of a play, but that didn't fool. I mean, that didn't fool anybody, Al. They naked and they say, I know what's coming.
Yeah. Bryce fooled him though. What a play that was. I'm just telling you, man. The guy here's the deal with nakeds, all right? Generally on a naked bootleg, someone's sliding across the formation to simulate a split zone or a split stretch, right? So it freezes the end temporarily, okay? And then the guy slides past him, so the end redirects and goes to get the quarterback, okay? Now, hopefully that has bought him enough time to where he can make some upfield reads, which he did one time when he threw, I believe he threw a wheel route. Didn't he throw a little wheel route? And then another time where he snuck underneath the guy and just slipped the ball to the tight end who was blocking down, and then slipped out late, and he made a really nice play. But one of the issues with naked is if you don't jerk them enough, there's more pressure and the receivers will tend to get covered, particularly on the middle level of the defense, the linebackers and such. If they're not sold that it is an outside zone or whatever it is you're selling, that they will retrace, redirect, and clutter the throwing lanes, right? Plus, if you don't get that end to close far enough, he'll be up in your face so fast you won't have an opportunity to make a throw. So all that put together, you have to get a good sell by the line, by the back, by the quarterback. Everything has to look and sound like a run to be convincing so all those things can happen.
So I'll say again now. Don't you think going under center would help them some?
That's the way I did it, okay? And I told you this before, and I think it's more a comfort level for Bryce to be in some form of pistol or shotgun because he just hasn't done a lot under center. But I've always believed that you can get a better jerk under center simply because it's a more gross action at the defense. I think it helps the play. But then you have to buy into running some of those plays under center to get the sell you want for the nakeds or the play action passes. So it's a commitment to more than just one play. It's a commitment to a package of plays that you've decided you're going to do. Now, in the past, they've done not a lot of under center, but some under center play, and it's been really productive when they did it. But Bryce Underwood wasn't the quarterback, so I'm sure that's got something to do with his preference.
They ran some under center stuff
early
in the season.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder. I mean, it's in there. It's in the offense, right?
Oh, yeah. No, they can do it.
They can do it.
Yeah.
And they aren't doing it. And that just makes me wonder if they're holding it back, right?
Yes.
I mean, because it's just crying out. It's just screaming. Like, oh, you got to try this. I mean, you got to put this in because no one's biting on this thing. I mean, someone's in his face every time now. They're like, oh. So I'm just guessing, speculating that they're going to pull it out at some point.
Yeah.
I wonder.
What have you noticed, Sam? I've educated you to a degree. What have you noticed that's common to their naked bootlegs every time they run them?
What have I noticed that's common?
Yeah, what
other than somebody being in his face every time?
Yeah.
I'm not picking up what you're putting down now.
They're all to the right. Okay?
Okay.
They're all fake left, go right, which Chip, I've talked to him about this before. He doesn't like having to do it like that all the time. He wants to run some left. And Bryce is good going to his left. But the issue is not whether you can throw the ball going to your left. The issue is, can you throw the ball under pressure going to your left? Okay, because that's the guy in your face is much more difficult to make that. Now, Bryce has proven he can do some of that. Okay, but to your right, it's so much more seamless just to spit the ball out towards your arm side. It comes out quicker, and you can see better, and everything fits better. But I think part of the reason that you see so many of them to the right is so that he can see the throw quickly and does not have to twist his body to make a throw with a guy right in his face.
Okay. I'll go with that. I think they're holding something back, Al. This is just the one time where where how fans say, hey, you think they're holding some offense back? Yeah. Because this is too conspicuous. This right here, watching somebody be up his butt every time, every game. I mean, they got eyes. Come on, man. All right, let's go back to the deal.
We're not going to talk about bum of the week, are we? No.
I promise I'll skip over it, Al.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Patrick F. T1M says, Patrick F. one time maybe, says, what does a guy like Jordan Marshall do for Bryce mentally? In a game where he was missing it, Jordan was willing to say, hey, get on my back. Put it on me. Get on this train. I got you back.
Absolutely. Running game, what do they say? The double play is a pitcher's best friend. The running game is a quarterback's best friend. Because the residuals of what that does are endless. Helps you with play action passes, slows down the pass rush, bails you out when you're not doing very well, when you're struggling a little bit. And that's just out of the top of my head, 3 things, but there's more. There's more. It creates a toughness with your offensive line. I don't even know where to start or where to end with that because it's huge. It's huge. It's been huge in a couple games now. But like I say, they have a plan B if the quarterback's not feeling it.
All right, time for a couple more. Gorgeous Borges. All right. Oh yeah, here's this is picking up on that point that Denard made about third down. You're out the pocket, that third down play where he sailed the ball to Zack Marshall. Denard says you run it. If you have an opportunity to get that third down, you don't throw it as a young player. And Smash Number says, as a young player, you take the first down, but not in year 2. And that's what Denard said. He said, as he became a vet, he was able to choose. But as a young player, he said Rich Rodriguez would cuss him. I don't know if Rich would have not cussed him out as a vet because, Rich was only there for Denard as a freshman and sophomore, right? So I don't know that he had an opportunity to not cuss Denard out, right? So can we really judge?
I did.
Maybe he would have cussed Denard out anyway. But to his point, he said as a veteran, he was able to choose. When Al Borges got there and he was outside the pocket on third down, Al Borges coached him to, hey, if you can make a throw, he's open. Make that throw, Denard. But, if
it was going to create a big play, yes. But I coached him no different than Rodriguez. If it meant keeping the chains moving and it was marginal whether or not you were going to be able to do that, run the ball. Hell, that's his strength. That's what he does. You don't want to turn him into, Dan Marino if he's not Dan Marino. But particularly on early downs, you don't want to turn down touchdowns. That's just not why you call a pass play.
Mm-hmm. This is a great question now. Great question. Cut from a different cloth 7. Al, in your experience, how long does it take a QB to learn how to read defensive coverages and understand offensive protection? That's a great question.
Well, that's different strokes for different folks. I mean, certain guys come faster than other guys, and a lot of it's based on what kind of exposure they had in high school. Because if they got, they had a really good quarterback coach or a good system, they'll pick it up a little faster. It won't be the same. I mean, there'll still be growing pains, but at least they'll have a foundation for understanding. But generally, when a guy really gets it is after he's played a whole year and he's been through a spring football, okay, where you can see if he's really kind of corrected a lot of the stuff that he made, the mistakes he made during the season. Their second year, generally the light goes on. I mean, really. Or if they didn't play their freshman year, but at least they were there to go through the reps and all that. Like I had Brandon Cox play behind Jason Campbell. Well, he kind of hit the ground running the first year he was a starter. He knew all the stuff already, and he played some. So it came fairly fast. But a guy that's not had any of that and is just kind of learning on the job, it's not going to come as fast. But that second year, it usually kicks in. All of a sudden, he's doing stuff. You're going, I think he's got it now. I think he's got it now. Things you were just pulling the little hair you had left out. All of a sudden, you're not anymore because that light, that bulb goes off that we were talking about earlier.
A couple more. Moy Sauce 3. Al, with a young team like this, how much did you do in the film room versus on the field at practice? You guys, I love you guys. You guys are astute. Very astute viewers and listeners, fans. How did you choose which would be more beneficial? This is a terrific question.
It is a very good question. See, the thing, I just did a podcast a couple of days ago with a guy that's an expert on teaching. He wanted to talk to me from a coach's perspective about teaching. This really had very little to do with football. But one of his questions were, what's the difference between coaching and teaching? And I said, really, other than, and they're really kind of the same. Lombardi used to say coaching is teaching, but in football, you have a lab every game, okay, that has a scoreboard to tell you how you did on the test, okay? So, yes, film work is critical because you can't get all the reps on the field that you could get watching some film, but there's nothing like body learning. There's nothing like, I call it body learning, physically going through what you could be going through in a game. So the starting point is film work, board work, having them explain so that they know, but they don't really know until they physically do it. And the muscle memory takes hold. So if I had my choice, I would always prefer field work as a solution to getting better over film work, but film work is essential to get to field work. Now, again, I don't know if that answers your question, but I think they're both important. But anytime you can do it and experience it, either whether starting with a walkthrough and then into a team period and then eventually in game, that's invaluable.
That was a great question. Al, what do you think about this from Lama Bryant, 9758? Al, it seems like the O-line is more comfortable run blocking than pass blocking. Additionally, exotic defenses like twists, blitzes, etc., seem to confuse the O-line. Do you agree?
I think that they are, because they do it more. You know what I mean? You got a lot more runs than you have passes. And it's really very, very different skill, the pass back blocking and run blocking. Run blocking is much more attack mentality, right? On a dual play, you're coming off and a lot of collisions, moving forward. You are basically the aggressor. In a passing game, you're more in a retreat mode. Now, again, particularly the tackles, but you're not attacking them. They're more attacking you. So that stuff gets dicier. Now, you can get good at that stuff. I mean, if you wanted to throw the ball 40 to 50 times a game, you can get really good at picking up all the twists, picking all, because that's what you do. But you're probably going to be a lousy running team because you're not going to get enough work on the other stuff, okay? And if I had my choice, at the end of the day, I'm going to win more games being able to run the ball than throwing that many times. I mean, some guys can win. Mike Leach lived in that world, but there aren't very many of those. Those are outliers more than they are standard. So I think the more the line sees their stuff, like the quarterback, the better they get at picking up twists, handling pressures, making the communication, getting the communication straight in the passing game, because there's a lot of components in there, and they throw a lot of crap at you, particularly on third down, because people start getting into exotic looks that really test your targeting and who to block, how to block them, when to make the exchanges and all that. So It's a long, hard process for those 5 guys. But when push comes to shove, if I had my choice at what they were better at, it would probably be, particularly at Michigan, it would be the run game. But that's not giving them a pass in the pass game either.
How did because it was week 2 for Blake Frazier in the run game, and I know you commented he's a little light, but it was mostly the sort of assignment errors, not
And
necessarily.
awareness, yeah. Assignment and awareness. Those 2 things. Even when he knew who to block, there's an awareness factor there. Working with a guy next to you and knowing how long to stand a block, and when you particularly do so much combination blocking, those 2 have to help each other enough to where they can move somebody, then get the second level guy. There's a lot of deals there. But the kid, I thought, played pretty good in this game, and his first couple game were growing pains. There were stuff, and you could see the athleticism. You could see the things that you want to see. But in this game, I thought I graded him better than I graded him significantly better than I graded him in the first couple of games that I graded him. So I think that kid's going to be a hell of a player before it's over. He's what you want physically in a left tackle. He, again, needs some strength, needs some awareness, and it's coming. He's getting it now because he's playing all the time. So,
yeah. All right. We can close on this note from Lama Bryant. Right. No, this one right here from Nala. 846 says, Sam and Al, I'm tired of a lot of negativity, man. Let's chill out. There will be growing pains for Bryce. Let's give the young fella the time he deserves. Al, how do you attack the Northwestern defense? Now, you'll get a chance to watch Northwestern.
I haven't watched them. I can't answer that.
You'll get a chance to watch them against USC, I think, this week.
Yeah. I'll watch them this week, and then save that question. Now we'll get that one later on, but I can't. I don't know. I got to see him play a little bit before.
But he's.
I like his attitude. I really like his attitude because everybody wants to, trash guys when you're not doing well. So try not to do that too much. But
hey, look, the concern, you get the disappointment. You can understand the disappointment. I think the disappointment is warranted. You would rather they be farther along than they are. That is understandable, but. They're 7-2. They still have a shot to do everything that they want to do, and they have time to get there. And so the opportunity to work some things out and the talent to do it. So let's hope that they can put the time and the talent to proper use here in the bye week and then in the game down there at Wrigley. So I think I'm going to take what Denard said, take what Al said, take what my eyes tell me, and use that to put some optimism to good use. Say that I think that they're going to come out this bye week better than they went into it, because I do think that they needed some time to get a mental reset, because this is. I imagine it is an adjustment when you're the guy, and for the first time in probably a long time, it's like, man, you haven't had this kind of experience in some years, probably since you were back in Little League, you haven't faced any adversity like this. So now you got to fight through it.
That's exactly right. It's not youth league football anymore. It's big boy football. It's big boy football, and it requires big boy mentality, big boy toughness, emotional and physical.
Which he has. I try to tell people, he's the same dude. That is what, if nothing else, you need to know about him. I mean, the physical talent you can see. What you need to realize about Bryce, he is as mentally tough a kid as you will ever meet. And what I think you have to appreciate as we close, you haven't seen him pout or complain one bit about stats. You haven't seen him get on any of his team, any of these drop balls or missed protections or any of that stuff. You haven't seen 1 ounce, 1 shred of frustration or going after teammates or any of that other stuff that you've seen elsewhere. You haven't seen that one time. Kind of dude is cut different in that way. That's the kind of a guy that you want leading in a young player, in a young, talented player like that.
In a young player, it's good. As you gain more success, and as you gain more confidence, and as things change, you can make your exchanges with your teammates more poignant. You know, there's times you can go up and go say, I need you to pick that blitz up now. Doggone it. I mean, and that's leadership. That's not whining. That's not complaining to everybody that he's not doing. That's telling him, you know, I've seen quarterbacks do that and effectively. And not the guy that he told him didn't think he was a jerk for doing it. He may not have liked it hearing it, but it's part of leadership. You know, sometimes you make it, but he's not really ready for that yet. But I think there'll be a day.
Yeah. How he's acting right now is really telling a lot to the people around him. So that's big. That's big. All right, folks, that is going to do it for the Michigan offensive breakdown. We will be coming back in the bye week, and we will be talking about Northwestern. So going to have Al and Vance watch Northwestern this week. Maybe take a peek at the Buckeyes. You know, take a peek at the Buckeyes, too.
We're always watching the Buckeyes, Sam. We're always watching the Buckeyes.
Yeah. A little advanced scouting, and he's why are you watching the Buckeyes? Y'all was saying that last year, too. Why are we looking at the Buckeyes? Don't want to look at the Buckeyes. They were convinced last year as well that it was over. A lot of you all were convinced last year, too. Why are we even thinking about them? They have no chance against them. Saying the same thing last year. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. All right. At any rate, got Vance coming up on a defensive breakdown. Until then, thanks for watching another edition of the Michigan Football Breakdown focused on the offense with Al Borges. See you next time.
Go Blue.